Welcome, welcome. It's time to draw my eras as nostalgic media from my childhood, a speed art series I've had on my channel for a while now. In the last episode, we drew all of the eras as Pokemon trainers. Since Pokemon's been pretty much the topic of this series for the past few episodes, now I'm tackling the most challenging aspect of the Pokemon section of this series. That's right, today we're drawing Fakemon, Pokemon that are not real. So buckle up, it's a long ride. To start, I thought it'd be a really great idea to make mood boards for each of my eras. Just an aesthetic piece to kind of put together a bunch of ideas that I could have for different types of Pokemon, like objects, favorite things, favorite foods, color palettes. So I made one for each era, which I am so dang proud of. Like, they are so cute. I love these. I'm obsessed, honestly. I'm gonna be using these for a while, especially in this series. But it helped greatly with narrowing down basic ideas for what I could turn each of the eras into Fakemon. So after that step was complete, I started to brainstorm what typings I wanted for each of the eras and went from there. So Wild Child. Obviously the mood board is full of very 90s aesthetic things, bouncy houses, colorful paint, rainbows, chalk, the swamp, the beach, mud, everything you can think of that you can associate with Wild Child. And the typing I always choose for her in this series is definitely bug types or water types. So I felt like it was only appropriate to do a bug water type. And I wanted to do a first evolution for Wild Child, so it would probably end up being something like a caterpillar or a worm, something like Wurmple, something like Weedle that you would find on Route 1 or in the first forest area. I imagine the final evolution for Wild Child to be Yellow Butterfly. And out of all of the caterpillars, I think the biggest inspiration I was going for here was maybe Caterpie. I did try to select a few Pokemon that already existed to kind of look at, and I chose some frogs and things and then realized, nah, I want to go with an insect for sure. And then I just had the most genius idea. I really wanted to keep the little tadpole tail because that's something really iconic from Wild Child's design. And then I was like, oh my god, what if I just put the tadpole tails as like the antenna, right? So, I was cooking, and of course I was like, oh my god, this is the best idea ever, and they would look more and function more like leaves, but the idea is that they're shaped like tadpole tails because of Wild Child. I thought that was so freaking cool, dude. So after I went the freak off on that, I wanted to make the cheeks really, really puffy, almost like they're gonna be buoyant in the water, because this is a semi-aquatic creature, and I imagine the tadpole tails as the antenna and the actual little tail I was gonna put on there that was almost like a little spike at the end, almost like a hornet has like a stinger. But I imagine that this little bug might need some more buoyancy than just something to propel them in the water. So I was like, okay, yeah, so they can inflate their cheeks to be really, really big, and basically they would be like water floaties, and they would be able to float in the water. And I imagine they would only have their little face sticking up out of the pond, so you'd only see the little eyes and like the floaties, essentially. I thought that would be so cute. And I wanted to keep a little bit more of the Wild Child design in this too by adding a little bit of like the bubbliness that I draw in her hair to signify like the dirty part of Wild Child's hair. So I wanted to do that on the bottom of the caterpillar and kind of mimic it in that kind of way. And I wanted to go all round circles, like big floofy circles wherever I could, because that's also very Wild Child coded. And so I know this looks very simple, but that's like the whole point, because the very first Pokemon that you run into the different routes are meant to be very like normal or almost like starter Pokemon, very baby Pokemon. And I wanted this to seem like a Pokemon that you would run into in like the very first forest. And maybe has like a split evolution thing, kind of like how Butterfree does, and Beedrill, Beautifly, and Dustox. Sort of a nod to that. I tried to choose the colors I had picked from the mood boards specifically, just because I'm getting a little tired of doing the same color palettes over and over again with this series, so I'm trying to branch out a little bit instead of it being like exactly from my reference sheets. I'm really glad I did that, because the dark blues on this is something that I was not really considering before, but it makes sense because it matches her overall. So I was like, oh wait, this makes total sense, but I just picked it from the color palette from the mood board, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. Definitely would not have considered that before. I probably would have made it dark green, and I feel like it would have just been too green. Like, of course it's a bug type, but I feel like bugs are allowed to be more than just green. And I also really like the idea that this is blue. It just reminds me of Alice in Wonderland, the caterpillar. Oh, it's just so neat. I am very happy I broadened my horizons in that department. Fighting for my life with the shading for most of this Pokemon series, just because it's a very painted look and it's a very specific kind of style, very storybook-esque, but I finally figured it the heck out. It seems like Pokemon is like breaking all the rules of artistry, and they just decide to shade everything with the color purple, and I don't know what to say. Like, I think that is just kind of bonkers, and once I realized that, I was like, oh, I'm overcomplicating things. I was going color by color, shading every little tiny thing, one section at a time, and then I realized, oh wait, no, they just slap purple on top of everything. Okay, never mind, I'm just being extra. To think an actual, like, legitimate, one of the most successful companies in the entire world is just doing the most basic of artist things and not overcomplicating it. What a concept. In the end, this is how my little Fakemon for Wild Child turned out. I decided to name it Lil Pillar, like little caterpillar, or lily pad caterpillar. Like, it all plays into every little aspect I think I could think of for Wild Child when it comes on like a play on words. So Lil Pillar is the Fakemon. Isn't it so adorable? A bug water type. I think this is freaking peak. It's functional. You can see it in its environment. It makes sense for the route you would find it on, and it is just literally the best I could come up with, and this gives me so much hope for the rest of the series that was very daunting for me to tackle. So on to the rest of the Fakemon. With my newfound confidence and a very wild 3 a.m. inspiration strike, yeah, this is when I was recording this. It was like dead ass in the middle of the night. Like I can't help it when I have ideas, I just gotta like do it now. You know, like I'll forget, I gotta just do it right away. So for Blackbird, I was definitely looking at her mood board and saying, wow, there's a lot of different things I could do here. But I think the thing that sticks out the most about Blackbird is arcades, and I really think there is a lack of steel types, at least in my opinion, that are cool. Like, I really love Skarmy, and I really love Tinkaton, and a lot of the newer steel types have been like redeeming steel types for me, but beforehand it was just kind of like mid. Magnezone's alright, you know? Metagross is overpowered, you know? But none of them are like cute per se, or like have any sort of personality in my opinion that isn't like a giant hecking thing that can beat the ever-loving hell out of anything it stands in its way. So I was like, okay, let's go for a more like dainty steel type here, like, because I feel like that would exist. Almost like you have like Klefki or Clink, like the little gears and stuff. Like, I love that. Like, those are peak. We need more of that. So that's what I was going for. And then I had like the biggest brained idea, because I started drawing this hood on Blackbird to kind of signify like her hair. Like, I was trying to match like the structure, the shape of her hair, the two little triangles. And I was like, oh, it kind of looks like a hood. So I was like, ooh, what if it's like a thief? Of course, like the first concept I had for this was that the claws were going to be claw machine claws. Like, that was like the very first idea I had, and I was like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna go 100%. The claws are claw machine claws, and they can like extend down on wires and like grab things from like the sky. I think that's so cool, so practical as a flying steel type. But also I wanted to incorporate now this idea of like this bandit, right? So I have this hood over the Blackbird design. I have like this big sharp beak, and I wanted to have like a very robotic looking eye, almost something that looks like Rotom. And then I thought it'd be really, really cool if I had some like fabric parts that were covering some of the wings. Like, half of the wings would be fabric, but in that fabric is where this Pokemon would store all of its goodies, all of the treasures from the arcade. Like, it just basically hoards arcade prices in its wings, and it's almost like delivered, where it's like got the presents in like its tail, except now it's in like the wings. So I thought that'd be really freaking awesome, that this Pokemon basically flies over the land and grabs goodies with its claws, extends them down on wires, and then picks it up, tucks them into their wings, where they have like these sacks to carry all of their prizes, and they're a thief in the night. And I love that so freaking much for Blackbird, to have such a stealthy and such like a gremlin-esque Pokemon. Like, just something that's more vulture-like, you know, something that's very scavenging. It's just so freaking Blackbird coded. I love that. I struggled a little bit to make the design kind of like unique, but also not too noisy. I primarily struggled with like the body and the tail. I just felt like it was a little lackluster, but then again, it didn't need to be anything extravagant, because the main focal points were going to be the fabric and the claws. So I really relied heavily on the color palettes for that. I really went all in on the mood board palette and chose like these very dark blues. Blues that I don't necessarily associate with Blackbird too terribly much. Like, I guess you could say the darker part of her shirt would match this. I definitely associate the turquoise a little bit more with her. So I went with that for the eye and like the tips of the claws, just because I wanted to draw out a little bit more of the lighter colors. to draw your eyes to the points that I am focusing on. But the blues, but those deep royal blues ended up being something that I really liked. And these dark purples, instead of it being completely black, using like some really dark purples, I think I took the color exactly from the trampoline in the photo, which is so funny. Now I can only imagine that's actually what it's made of. Like that material is like a trampoline material. And oh, I just love it. It just came together so quickly. At first I was struggling and then just like boom, boom, boom. It just all came together after the colors came in. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect. And Blackbird would love this. So here is my Fakemon for Blackbird. You can pronounce it 2 different ways, Claw Thief or Claw Thief. So it's like cloth, it's claws, and it's thief. I am so good at naming these, y'all. Like, I'm on a damn roll. This is a flying steel type, one of the underrated typing matchups that I have found in Pokemon. Oh, and can you imagine, this is just a lesser version of Corviknight, you know? Like, this is like the little pest of Corviknight, where people are like hoping to find a Corviknight and then they find a Claw Thief and they're like, oh, dang it, no! Because then they're gonna get their stuff stolen. Like, oh, the lore behind this one goes absolutely crazy and Blackbird would be so pleased. On to the most challenging one of all for Parker. I had my heart set on a lion because I'm telling you, there is not enough lions in Pokemon. There's like a few, sure, we have some, but a lot of them are like legendaries or mythicals and they're really unattainable, or they're just extremely basic like Pyroar. Like, I want something a little more lore sound, I guess? Something with more story, something with more edge, right? Something like Entei, but a little more obtainable. So I was gonna go for a middle evolution, but I thought that would be a little awkward and wouldn't really give off the lion vibes that I was hoping for. So I just went for like the full evolution for Parker. I was like, frick it, we're going all the way on this. And it's gonna be complicated and it's gonna be full of fire, and let me tell you, drawing Pokemon art style fire is like the bane of my existence, but I will pull through. Concept I started out with was a key. Like, obviously Parker has a huge key motif, and I was like, all right, I want it to be a steel type, just like Blackbird. I thought that'd be really cool if they had similar typings. And I was like, okay, so the head will be the top part of the key, and then the body will be like the structure of the key will like go down its spine or something, right? Until that became like really awkward, and I was like, this isn't working. So you'll watch me fiddle around with this for a while until I'm like, oh wait, what if I just do more of like a saber-toothed tiger, right? What if I go for like a liger, middle in between lion and tiger, and instead of stripes, I put the keys. And the keys are kind of like wrapped around the body and like almost like armor. It is like metal armor. I wanted the 2 saber-toothed teeth to resemble keys too. And then, oh, this is the thing that ties it all together. I was like, oh my god, the nose can be the keyhole. How freaking perfect is that? Oh my god, I was cooking, chat. I was cooking, going the hell off on the fire because I really like the idea there's big flowy whiskers and these big bushy eyebrows, like, oh my gosh, and little fire like bursts coming out of the bottom of the feet and everything, almost like Score Bunny. Like, I really thought the lore for this thing, that it would be like this ancient being, right? Obviously there's probably like first evolution, middle evolution, and I imagine these are only found in caves or in relic ruins or even where fossils can be found. Maybe this could even be like some kind of fossil Pokemon. Because god, we need more of those! But I didn't want it to be a rock type, I wanted it to be a steel fire type, because I was like, you know, I like the idea that all of the fossil types are rock types, but what if they're not? What if it's just like you find like a relic key and then you can turn that into a Pokemon? So I went for like this very protective stance, like this very like grand but like soft stance, you know, like almost like Entei. Like, obviously Entei was probably the biggest inspo for this. I just wanted something that seems like a guardian, because when you think about the symbolism of keys, they really are kind of this protection symbol. They are this symbol of locking things or unlocking things, but they're always associated as being the key or like the catalyst, the spark. That was the main inspiration I had for the lore, was that it was just going to be an ancient protector. They're only found around areas where there's things worth protecting, so it's good if you're a treasure hunter, because if you find them, you know there must be something good that they're protecting there. But it's also bad news because this thing's probably really damn strong. It also just really fits with how loyal Parker is. And so I freaking spent probably almost 2 hours working on getting the shading right and the lighting right for the stupid goddamn fire from hell. Oh my god, it was horrible. I was sad. I was just sitting there the whole time being like, why can't I get this to look right? Like, I was just looking at Entei, looking at Entei, being like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And then I finally figured it all out. I was like, you know what? this is good enough. I feel like this looks like a Pokemon card. So I finally, after hours, had got my fire down, and this is Anciflame. Like Ancient Flame, really majestic name for this creature for my Parker Fakemon. There's so much you could do with the lore with this Pokemon. You could even say it was one of the lost dog Pokemon, like Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. It could be some descendant of Entei. Like, oh, there's just so many cool lore things we could do that would make Parker so happy because he's such a deep guy. Petition to have more fossil Pokemon, but they're not rock types. Petition for fossil Pokemon to also be based off of other things. Rah! This is my pitch. This is my pitch. Pokemon, hire me. Hire me. I'm cooking. I'm cooking! Okay, Holly era was gonna be such a vibe to begin with because I knew it was gonna have to be crystals and plants, strawberries, you know, something very cutesy, very cat-like. So I chose a bunch of cat Pokemon for my references, and I went all in on making this the most adorable, almost fairy type I almost went for here. I thought I was going for a plant type, like a plant rock type was what I had my heart set on, and then I was like, oh my gosh, actually this is becoming more and more fairy by the moment. So that's what I went for. I went for a fairy rock type for Holly, and I want it to be like a plant cat because obviously Sprigatito has been a very popular plant cat, and I'm very happy about that. Leafeon's always been a really good one too. But I was like, what if we had a plant rock cat? I at first really wanted to have like a strawberry face and then like maybe a big strawberry on the tail that was connected to like a vine. And then I was like, oh, what if the strawberry tail is actually like a geode? I thought that would be really cool. It's almost like a dinosaur where it has a big tail and it like swings it around to attack, and it would be like this big rock. But that was looking a little clunky, and I wasn't entirely sure how I was gonna make it like a uniform design. And so I ended up scrapping that idea and then keeping the basic shape. I was really happy with like the face shape being more strawberry-like and the little leaves coming out of the side and the ears being more like Hoppip. So I just started kind of making it a little slightly more ferret-like. It ended up becoming a little bit more longer than a cat and a little more ferret-like, but that's okay because I think it really helped. I decided to put a clump of crystals on the back, almost like it's sprouting off of the back of this creature. Because let me tell you, one of my absolute favorite things to draw are gemstones. I have a big fixation on gemstones. Like, that was like all Holly era was collecting rocks, I swear to God. And even Brightside has like a huge gemstone motif. You'll see so much gemstone talk on my channel. I'm just obsessed with drawing rocks, okay? Rocks and plants, because 12 is all about plants. Like, oh, I'm just a simple-minded being. I see rock, I see plant, I heart emoji. So I went ahead and drew some crystals on the back, and that's when things really started to come together. I was like, okay, no, this is a lot better. I like this idea because let me tell you, one of my favorite Pokemon is Carbink. I think Carbink is the most freaking adorable, sweetest baby that has ever existed on this earth. I love Carbink. Literally one of the most underrated Pokemon ever. Just a fairy rock type. Baby as hell. Love that thing. And I was like, no, we need another fairy rock type. We need another one. And this one's gonna be baby too. Let's go. So I went all in on all the adorable floofy details I could. The green part of the design you'll see is kind of like a mossy blanket is what I imagine, and the cream color I actually at the last second turned to like a light pink, and it just made everything so beautiful. You'll see. Oh my god. I wanted it to almost seem like the cat is actually made of rock, but it has this mossy kind of cape growing over it, and that's all of the green parts is all of the moss growing on it, and then the brown parts are the rock that's covering up the crystal. So I'd like to imagine maybe the pre-evolution of this Pokemon is almost entirely brown and green, so then parts of the pink crystals can start poking through as it evolves. And weirdly enough, I feel like this is a middle evolution. I definitely feel like there's a final evolution to this design. Like, this feels like a middle design, you know? Which is kind of funny that I switched Parker and Holly, but you know what? Sometimes that's just how they work. The more I started to design it, the more I realized, yeah, this is like Quilava, you know? This is like definitely a middle evolution, and I was happy with that. I was like, you know what? That's fine. To me, when I was in Holly's era, I definitely was not at my full potential. I was not at like my full evolution, so I could do a middle evolution for Holly too. Once I started going in on the shading, that's when it all really started to come together. That's when I was like, oh my god, the purple shading thing that Pokemon did that I hated like a few characters ago, guess what? This is my best friend now. I love this. It ended up working out so dang well, and once I finally changed that cream color to pink, it just made it. I'm just so glad I started to let go of these color palettes that I've been like clinging onto for dear life, because now it's opened all of these doors and avenues. Like, I would have gone a lot more red, the eyes I had red for Holly to be like little berries, I thought, but then I was like, no, I want to go all in on the pink because Holly's very pink to me. It just got me thinking in whole new ways. And this is the Fakemon for Holly, Mewel. Isn't that the best freaking name ever? Little Mew Jewel. Oh my god, it's just perfect. My little gemstone grass cat, my beloved. Holy cow, it's a rock fairy type. I love it. Would not have ever been the same had I not stepped out of my comfort zone. And while it may have been a little bit of a struggle in the beginning to figure out what I really wanted, I'm so happy with it, and I feel like Holly Era would just be singing with joy. Look at it, it's precious, it's precious! Surprisingly, making a dragon type was less daunting than making Parker's. So we're moving on to Haley Era, where I was definitely obviously gonna have to make a dragon type, full evolution too at that. And looking at her mood board, this kind of shocked me, but I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go electric type because I really want to include the yellows for one thing, but another thing, I don't really know how many dragon electric types exist aside from that, like, a monstrosity of a fossil Pokemon they tried to make or something. Like, what the hell was that guy? Like, who is he? Like, Sword and Shield needs help when it comes to their fossil department. Oh my god, like, it could have been a perfectly fine and great fossil electric dragon guy, but no, they just messed it all up and they're like, what if we mix around the fossil parts? Like, what were they thinking, bro? So no, this is not gonna be a fossil Pokemon. I was like, you know what? No, we're abandoning that narrative. We're done. And at first I was like, okay, I don't know why, but I was the shape I was going for was a goose. Like, I don't know, chat. I was just thinking like, oh, like mother goose, mother hen, because like I always call Haley Era the mother. Like, that's like, if she had a playbook, that's what she would be. So she was a very nurturing person, actually like connected to inner child and all that good stuff. And I was like, oh, so like a mother goose, that'd be really funny. So I like went for this goose shape, and like I'm kind of glad I did, because it's like something I don't draw like ever. And I struggled a little bit in the beginning, of course, and I was like, oh, what if I just make her a Parasaur, like a Parasaurolophus? And I was like, oh yeah! So I kind of went for that. Kind of got almost a beak now, and there's like going to be this electric bolt coming out of it, which is cool. And as I was drawing this, I was like, wow, this is missing something. It's kind of dull, it's kind of basic, it's just a dinosaur with big claws and a long tail. So I looked to my mood board and I was like, you know what? Let's add the clouds. Let's add the rain clouds. Let's add like something that's very like Haley coded, or I would go out and walk around in the rain a lot. Like, it was my favorite thing to do with my rain boots and my umbrella and walk around in the storms, and oh, I just have such fond memories of storms. And so I was like, you know what? Let's make this like a storm dinosaur. Let's go ahead and let's wrap it in clouds, like it's always like enshrouded in mist. And I just thought that was just so cute. It just added everything I wanted. It adds like this cozy little blanket of clouds around her, and I was like, oh my god, it's just so peak. It just looks so freaking cute. Just thought this Pokemon would be so cool if you could find it only on top of mountains during a storm kind of a thing. Like, it's got to be up somewhere high. It's got to be gathering its little static electricity for the storm. I imagine it almost absorbs storms into its clouds, and that's where it stores all of its energy. And despite how like gigantic this looks, I imagine that they're really small. Like, I would imagine them to be raptor sized. I just thought it'd be really cute if they were just like these little scuttling little cloud dinosaurs that are just hungry for storms and static, and they want to nom on all of the lightning bolts that strike down. And like, I just think it's really cute that they're just like these little hungry little guys and scuttle around. So I really wanted to make it a timid creature, because I feel like Haley Era really was that kind of way. After everything I had gone through, I was obviously quite timid, and so I wanted it to be like more of a small dragon. Like, lately I've been drawing Haley as like these big giant heckin' honkin' monstrosities, but I was like, no, what if she's just this little guy? So this is Cloudor, the cloud dinosaur, and it is an electric dragon type, and this is what Haley would be if I had to make her into a Fakemon. Obviously, I abandoned the orange. I am so happy I did all of this with the colors again and again. I will say it all over again because I really learned a lot with it. I would have obviously made it orange if it weren't for my mood boards, honestly, because obviously Haley is an orange dinosaur, but you can still tell this is based off of her despite all of that, and I just think it's really charming and sweet, and I love the lore and everything that goes along with it. We need more of this typing. I'm trying to make rare typing combinations, can you tell? For my final trick, for my absolute best, most peak of freaking course, it's always Robin era who gets the absolute best of my ideas, the best drawing, the best design, the best of everything I can ever muster when it comes to this damn series. I literally could not tell you what possessed me, but I looked at my references and saw, yes, I grabbed a bunch of tree-like Pokemon, whether they're rock types, whether they're grass types, and then I looked to my mood board and I saw a bunch of rainbows, and I saw a bunch of clouds and birds, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna abandon the mood board. I don't know why I did that. I literally don't even know why I made the mood board for Robin, if I was just gonna abandon it to begin with, and I looked over and I was like, you know what? I want another ghost tree. I want another ghost tree, but I want it to be more symbolic than just another ghost tree. And literally, this is something I just sketched and then drew immediately. Like, I didn't have like 100,000 ideas or sketches or like struggled at all. I just drew this. Like, I beamed it down from my brain. It was insane. You can watch it in real time. It's actually wild. So I thought of the idea of like a walnut, like a seed. A big seed that's cracked open enough to where you can see little eyes on the inside. That was like the first idea I had because I see myself currently as a seed. I planted my seed. I'm getting my roots planted. But then I was like, what about the ghost aspect type where I am like a ghost? The ghost of my past is haunting me to the point that I decided to make Persona Project and to become friends with my ghost instead of fearing it so much or trying to push it away. And so I wanted to kind of put down roots, right? I wanted this to have long, gangly roots, but I wanted it to connect to these big claws. These claws that I imagined that this creature would like dig the hole to where it would finally bury itself and become a tree eventually. Like, weirdly enough, this is a first evolution, I think. A first for Robin era for sure. But it makes a lot of sense because this is like the start of a lot of wonderful things in my life. So like being a seed makes a lot of sense. And having these big arms to like bury myself down when I find the perfect spot to plant my tree makes so much sense. And I added like these horns to it that are growing a little bit of the tree. So it's like I'm already starting to grow. I just gotta find the right spot and really plant down my roots. And so I thought that would just be so cool if it was just like this husk of a seed in its last resort planting itself. And oh my god, the lore is freaking out of this world, and like I literally don't know what possessed me. Like I can't tell you. I tried to mimic a little bit of the Persona Project art style when I do the background work. I did a little bit of the swirly tree patterns, like the bark. I went all in on that just to kind of connect it to Persona Project a little bit more because god, this one went off the rails and looks nothing like Robin. It's not bird-like in any way. It's just its own idea and its own thing, and it's so freaking cool, bro. I was like, yeah, walnut, and then boom, this thing spawned. I'm like, okay, all right, well, that's freaking awesome. I tried to use the color palette from Just Robin, and that was and then I tried to use my mood board palette, and that was just so I literally just went off the freaking rails and made my own thing. Like, I pulled more colors from actual Pokemon like Torterra than I did anything else. The only thing I decided to make it slightly more Robin was to keep the eyes orange because I was like, okay, Robin's color is orange, so I will at least make it orange so that way it's more Robin-esque because right now you can't even tell. But let me tell you, one of my gender envies of the entire universe is a character that is nothing more than a black orb with dot eyes and some sort of intricate, like, cloak or armor or something that, like, covers all of them, right? So, like, lots of Kirby-esque characters, like Meta Knight, big gender envy. I just want to be a little shadow ball with eyes, right? So I was like, this makes so much sense that it's literally just a shadow ball in a seed with eyes. Like, oh my god, I was cooking. I was on fire. The kitchen is ablaze. There is ashes in the air. I'm like that gif of someone writing, but the flames are like eating the paper as they're writing. That's literally me right now when I was making this, for real, for real. Never been more confident in anything. I don't know why I was so scared to make the Fakemon. I was like, oh my god, what if I can't match the art style? Or like, what if I don't have any ideas? Like, of course I'm gonna have ideas. I'm PetPyves, bro. Give it up. Like, what is this, like, I can't do it mindset? Like, BS, I just do what I want now. Because this Pokemon made me that confident. Like, bro, I could make my own damn Pokemon generation at this point. Like, I could. It might be something I do in the future. I would love to do that. All of that aside, The shading just made it even more dramatic and more ghostly and perfect, and by the end of it, Robin's Fakemon is Rootusk, a husk of a root, and it also could be dusk like the night sky. It is a ghost grass type, another wonderful banger of a type matchup. It's like my little Pumpkaboo, one of my favorite Pokemon. This turned out so freaking good. Can you tell it's Robin? No, not really, but if you really listen to everything I just said about the symbolism and everything, it's so Robin core. It's Robin coded as hell. And I love it. I love it so freaking much. This is definitely my favorite out of all of them. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I freaking cooked. I ate down. That was the best freaking episode of this series so far. And I'm feeling so damn confident in this. I am feeling so freaking great about all of the Fakemon I made. It turned out freaking great, guys. I was so happy with each and every one of these. I cannot wait to inevitably make my own Pokemon generation. It's actually something I did during Wild Child's era, and like I literally made like hundreds of little Fakemon without even really knowing that that was what that was called when I was in Wild Child's era. I'd love to make a video on it sometime and maybe like redesign them all or like make new ones and like make a whole new generation. Like that is definitely something I'm gonna do beyond this series for sure. I think after this one we're gonna take a break from Pokemon for a while. I think I've covered a lot of Pokemon in this series, so I want to jump back into some of the most nostalgic things I could think of. And next time, I think I have my heart set on drawing them as Zuzu pets. I would love to design Zuzu pets for each of them. I think it would be so cute and fun. But if you guys have any suggestions for any more nostalgic media you would like to see me draw the eras as, please comment below. I would love to hear ideas and suggestions, because we are far from done with this series. Once we're done with some of the nostalgic stuff, I'd love to dive more into current fixations of mine, or even stuff that I've made in the past, like 12. I'd love to draw all the eras as if they were in 12, what they would look like in 12. Try to mimic my old art style and stuff. So stay tuned, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.